Hi guys. So today I am doing my celery juice update. So as some of you already know, I have been drinking celery juice every morning. I post it in my stories or share it in my stories to let you guys know that this is what I'm doing. And I wanted to do this update in the video. So my 15-day update, I think it was 15 days or 2 weeks. That update is on the blog, but that update was just to let you know how it was going from the beginning. But I wanted to do this one as a video because I think that there are some things that probably will translate a little bit better in the video versus me writing them. So, one of the things that I want to mention is that celery juice, drinking celery juice is not a cleanse, right? Or what I did. Now, I think there are some celery juice cleanses out there, and in the medical medium, might even have a celery juice cleanse. I'm not sure about that, but what I did is not a it's not a cleanse. It's simply something that I added to what I was currently doing every morning or added to my morning routine already. So, I mentioned the medical medium. He wrote an entire book called Celery Juice. So, the medical medium, Anthony Williams, is responsible, or he popularized this idea of drinking celery juice for health. So if you search hashtag celery juice, I think, and hashtag medical medium community, you'll see lots of posts with people discussing some of his ideas, and also a lot of people specifically talking about celery juice and what it has done for them. So, and I searched this before I decided to do it because I was just curious to see, if it really worked. And I mean, that's the great thing about social media is that I was able to check a hashtag and pretty much get tons of reviews, if you will, about whether this thing was worth even trying. So, I found that uh, so I'll start here. I'll start with a few things about the drinking celery juice. So one being that you should drink it on an empty stomach. I actually start out with water and lemon in the morning. At first, when I did it for the first, I think 2 weeks, I just drank celery juice on an empty stomach, no water. And instead of doing my normal water and lemon, I just switched to just drinking the celery juice by itself. And I think that I tried to do 16 ounces at first, and then I had to kind of cut it back because one day I got a little nauseated. And so I was like, well, let me cut it back a little. But I actually think that it was the particular bunch that I had that particular day that made me nauseated. So you will notice that celery can taste different depending on where you get it from or where it comes from. I also noticed that celery stalks, like the full celery with the leaves, has a stronger taste than celery hearts. So if you're not familiar with the difference, celery hearts are when they kind of strip the leaves off and they strip back like some of the outer stalks on the celery. So you get this. So usually it's the one that looks the prettiest in the store. And I noticed that that one tended to be milder. However, I opted when possible because sometimes I just couldn't find full stalks, but I opted to do the celery with the leaves because the leaves are actually medicinal and they have even more benefits than just the stalks. But do be aware that if you choose to use the full stalk with the leaves, it can be bitter. So I don't know if my taste buds are just kind of different, but so the taste of celery juice is pungent, especially at first. But actually, after a couple days of drinking it, it was fine to me. Like, I didn't really have a strong reaction to it after a couple days. Also, some people say that the celery juice is really salty. And that wasn't my experience. And it could be my taste buds, but I I've probably had celery from about five different either stores or brands throughout this whole period of time, this month. And I really didn't, I never had a batch that tasted super salty to me. So it could be my taste buds. It could just be that I just didn't get a stalk that tasted like that. But again, for me, the taste wasn't super strong or unbearable. And now I'm actually over 30 days as I'm making this video of drinking it, and the taste really doesn't bother me. So, you know, and I'm sure that that's a very individual, going to be a very individual experience. I also think that in the book, Anthony Williams mentions that if you are, the more toxins you have in your body, the more strong that it might taste to you. So for me, with the taste, that hasn't really been a huge issue. I did have one incident where, I almost threw the juice back up, but I think it was just a particular celery that I used because that never happened to me again. And I just stopped buying and I never bought that brand again. But aside from the taste, um, also there is the issue of eating before or after. So I I did eventually start out my day with water just because I kind of felt like I was a little dehydrated at one point. And I think it's because I was drinking the celery juice. And for me, I actually kind of feel full when I drink any kind of juice, not just celery juice. Sometimes when I juice, like I'll forget to eat. And, so this is a note to make. Whenever you are juicing is for um, nutrition. Even if you're drinking like regular fruit juice or whatever, you still need to eat food, at least an hour after you juice, an hour or two after you juice. So I always make sure you eat after you juice. But especially with celery juice, that's important because celery juice doesn't, I don't even think celery has any calories. And once you remove the fiber, like you don't really have any calories. So make sure you eat, because I will say that I kind of had trouble remembering to eat because juice kind of makes me feel full sometimes, and I just move on and and I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten today. So I went ahead and so with juicing your celery, just make sure that you're still eating a meal, 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes late, 30 minutes to an hour later. I think that in the book, the recommendation is that you wait at least 15 to 30 minutes before you eat a meal. And also the recommendation eat is that you don't eat anything fatty after you drink the juice. I think that's what I read. But by the way, I'm only like a third of the way through the book, and I do intend to read the whole thing, and maybe I'll share my thoughts on the book later. At the first 2 weeks, I was very lethargic, and I felt like I was going through like a detox phase or something like that. That's the only way that I can really explain it. But after that kind of passed, and I would say that lasted for maybe like a week and a half. After that passed, then I had lots of energy. So now I've been drinking it, and so during I should mention that when I first started doing the celery juice, I actually started during follicular phase, which is normally a very high energy time for me. And I noticed that it was not high energy when I first started drinking the celery juice because, again, I think I was kind of going through some sort of detox. So then after that, I went. Actually, I was in luteal phase during like the second half of this, right? So I expected to still kind of be on a slump, but actually my energy increased. So I haven't really had that dip in energy anymore. So some things that I've noticed so far from drinking celery juice is, having more energy. Also, I can't tell if it has something to do with the celery juice or what, but I feel like I wake up a little bit earlier, that I don't necessarily need as much sleep. And again, I'm not sure if that has something to do with me drinking celery juice, but I've just noticed that in the last maybe like 2 weeks. Um, the other thing that I noticed about drinking celery juice is cravings, is the reduction in cravings. So I really haven't been feeling like I've had a lot of sugar cravings, because sugar cravings, especially if you have fibroids, because I've heard other people talk about this. If you have fibroids, you probably have a lot of bad bacteria in your gut, and sometimes you get a lot of cravings. You crave a lot of carbs and sugar, but I've noticed that I'm really not experiencing as many cravings as I might have been before. Um, so that's been like really great. I also noticed that if I eat something that I probably shouldn't eat, some of the poorer choices of foods, um, that I will be in the bathroom. Um, so, and I'm pretty sure that that's got something to do with me, drinking the celery juice. Maybe it's trying to cleanse some stuff out of my system after I eat it. So that's been a plus for me, because now I think twice before, I was already trying to be cautious, but now I'm even more cautious because sometimes it's just not worth it. So overall, I do think that drinking celery juice daily is a great addition to your morning routine. Um, it is some extra work in the morning. So I make my juice fresh every day, or almost every day. Sometimes I will just go ahead and do it the night before if I feel like my day is going to be hectic the next day. But I always make it fresh. And the medical medium recommends that as best practice for drinking celery juice. So it is something extra that you have to add to your day, or maybe you can add that to your night routine, something that you do at night and just prepare it for in the morning, because some benefit is better than no benefit. um, but I think it's worth it. I think overall, how I felt the last couple weeks, how I've had the increase in energy, I do think it's worth. I'd like to hear from you guys. If you have tried this already, if you plan to try it, or even just some of your thoughts about whether it's helpful or not. I will say that I don't think that just drinking celery juice is going to heal you of fibroids, and I don't think that Anthony Williams purports that to be true either, but it is a very powerful healing tool. I believe that it is anyway, just from my experience thus far. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you guys would like for me to do more videos like this, or and what you like for me to share in some of the videos that I plan to do.